this lecture, economic students. Today we are looking at fiscal policy. So we need to talk about how we look at definition of fiscal policy. Also looking at the branches of fiscal policy, where we look at government spending and taxation. So let's get started. So you should understand that fiscal policy involves the use of government spending and taxation to influence the overall health and direction of the country's economy. So we're looking at fiscal policy being a demand side policy, yes, but it's controlled by the government. So it is one of the primary tools government employs to achieve macroeconomic objectives such as economic growth, full employment, and price stability. So the government looks up to fiscal policy to control macroeconomic activities, also to control the macroeconomic objectives that the government sets to achieve of achieving economic growth, full employment, and price stability, which are very crucial when we talk about macroeconomic objectives. Then we have to look at government spending. So we're looking at the government being the one which is spending money in the economy. So we look at government being the key drivers of economic activity by spending on infrastructure development. This is going to improve the road networks. That's going to ease of doing business. Also look at education. Government spending on education, government spending on healthcare to improve the health services in the country, and also other public goods which are offered by the government. These are all the three fundamental pillars of development as mentioned by Sarah Entodaro, the development economics guys. These injections of funds into the economy can boost demand for goods and services because, as you know, the economy is stimulated through increasing aggregate demand, increasing economic growth. Because once increased demand for goods and services, that's going to foster creating jobs and also fostering economic growth. Because with high economic growth, we're most likely going to see increasing demand, increasing incomes, and creating jobs. Then we have to look at taxation. Taxation involves the use of taxes to regulate economic activities. So we look at the issue that during period of economic expansion, whereby the economy is growing rapidly, might look at the government might increase their taxes to cool down the economy so that they prevent inflation. So we look at the issue of soft landing, the playing. These are some of the issues that we discussed by development economics fathers, the macroeconomic professors all around the world, whereby they talk about the idea of cooling down the economy, whereby we increase taxes, whereby we try to prevent rise in inflation, because we want to continue to have the economy flowing in a direction that doesn't cause high inflation, but does also cause lower economic growth, whereby we have stable levels of inflation and stable economic growth. So we look at the issue of conversely, we are looking at whenever we are going to be having economic downturns, we are likely going to have tax cuts so that we can influence, or we can provide incentives for spending in the economy, that they can stipulate spending on, also can stipulate even investment, whereby we look at the marginal propensity to invest, most likely going to increase once we do reduce the tax cuts. So that we can stimulate more economic growth. So we're looking at taxation playing a pivotal role in shaping the aggregate demand in the economy, because it's a demand side policy. So we're looking at being able to increase aggregate demand, also being able to use aggregate demand pertaining to how the government will be regulating the economic activities. Then look at budget deficits and surpluses. So this is whereby you're looking at the government spending, whereby they are exceeding their revenue that they are earning in their own country. That's when you have a budget deficit, leading to borrowing, whereby the government might borrow to the International Monetary Fund from the World Bank, whereby this is whereby the government is actually not meeting the expenses or what they actually budgeted for, so end up having the deficit. So we're looking also whereby we have a fiscal surplus, whereby our revenue itself will exceed the spending, which is going to have a balance of payment. It's going to be very positive whenever you're going to be presenting the figures. Or may actually have the government may use deficit during economic downturns to support demand. So we might end up having government going an extra mile to using as deficit that they can stimulate or support demand in the economy, while surplus can be targeted during the period whereby the economy is growing, whereby we're having rapid economic growth. That's when we can actually attain a budget surplus or a fiscal surplus. So that's what you have to understand, the idea behind the budget deficits and budget surpluses, how the government will need to be able to look at how best they can solve uh, the problem that they are facing, at the same time being able to continue to support demand. Then we have automatic stabilizers. This is whereby we look at the fiscal measures that are being taken by government, such as the progressive tax. This is a tax that takes a huge proportion of income for the rich and redistribute to the poor. And also, you have to look at unemployment benefits, that the benefits are being given to people who are not being employed, which means we have mean-tested benefits that are given. We're going to be looking at the types of unemployment benefits as further as we go into deep into macroeconomics. This can all act as automatic stabilizer, both they are there to stabilize the economy. Because we're looking at during an economic downturn, whereby this mechanism provides support to individuals and businesses by helping them stabilize the economy without the need for a specific policy adjustment. Because you know that policies as they are evaluated whereby we look at them both sides, uh, whereby we can avoid that by automatic stabilizers such as progressive taxes and unemployment benefits. Then we have discretionary fiscal policies. This is whereby we achieve economic goals as a government by deliberately changing our spending or our taxation. So this is whereby you look at the economic activity as a government and try to find a way in which we can stabilize the economy, at the same time looking at our specific aims or specific objectives as a government. So if we're looking just in addition to automatic stabilizers, we can use to implement discretionary fiscal policy that has look at the issue of the government deliberately changing spending and taxation in the economy. Then, in our conclusion, you should understand that fiscal policy is a powerful tool for influence the overall direction of an economy because it's controlled by the government. You should always know that. And it is effective depending on factors such as the timing, the magnitude, and the appropriateness of the measures taken, because that's very crucial. The appropriateness of the measures has been taken. Are they in line with the current economic activity or the current macroeconomic objectives that we are conflicting against? Is it actually in line with that uh, macroeconomic objectives that we are setting out to? Are they not conflicting? And also looking at government must carefully balance fiscal policy to ensure sustainable economic growth, control inflation, address social and economic challenges. That's the most important thing, the idea that the government is supposed to ensure we have sustainable growth. The kind of growth that actually has more stable employment levels and stable inflation, not getting out of control, at the same time addressing social and economic challenges that are facing the ordinary citizens of this country. With this, I thank you.